and welcome back to Scotland Shop on the Sofa. I'm Carrie.
And I'm John, and happy December. As we start to enjoy the seasonal festivities, we have one more thing to celebrate, a brand new Clan of the Month. This time, it's Clan Graeme's turn. We have been fascinated by this grand family's extensive history, and so we can't wait to share it all with you. So let's get started.
It is thought that the Graemes first acquired lands in Dalkeith in Midlothian. Then, by marrying into the prominent Strathearn family, they gained territory in Auchterarder, where they formed their principal seat. Their power and influence only continued to grow, with the industrious group managing to also claim the lands of Mugdock, north of Glasgow, where they built a grand castle around 1370.
They were awarded even greater privileges in the 15th century, gaining the lands of Montrose and even an impressive title, with Patrick Graeme of Kincardine being named Lord Graeme. 2 generations later, they rose once again and were promoted to Earls of Montrose.
Even in their earliest days, the Graemes made powerful connections. Sir John de Graeme was a companion in arms to the great Sir William Wallace. He became legendary for his daring and grit, winning the nickname Graeme with the Bright Sword. You can find his gravestone and effigy in Falkirk's Old Parish church.
Now you have some understanding of the family's impressive roots, let's explore a few of the places they once called home.
It seems right to begin with the clan's historic seat, the mighty Mugdock Castle. Mugdock can be found around 12 miles north of Glasgow and served as the Graemes' ancestral home between 1372 and 1700. From its early days, it was clearly designed to fit the family's fearsome reputation as warriors and also their high place in noble society.
The surrounding land was protected by Mugdock Loch, providing the castle with a natural defence and giving the Graemes an immediate edge over any approaching attackers, while the castle itself was surrounded by a curtain wall, again adding an inbuilt protective measure. Inside was a courtyard, a great hall, and plenty of accommodation for high-ranking guests.
Unfortunately, Mugdock attracted the attention of a number of enemies who staged various violent sieges. In 1641, it was partially destroyed under the instructions of Parliament to punish James Graeme, the Marquess, who was being held as a political prisoner in Edinburgh Castle at the time. When he was eventually executed in 1650, Mugdock and its lands were passed on to the Marquess of Argyll, Archibald Campbell, but luckily it didn't take long for the Graemes to regain their grand seat. In 1655, Mugdock was returned to Clan Graeme and a long and continuous process of restoration began.
In 1682, the Graemes acquired Buchanan Old House, which they thought was more suitable for the title of Marquess and their ever-growing prestige, but they hung on to Mugdock all the same. After the family did finally let go, however, Mugdock went on to serve a number of interesting purposes and have a few more notable owners.
During the Second World War, the house was used by the government to host essential wartime work. Then in 1945, Hugh Fraser, who you may know as the owner of the famous House of Fraser, purchased the land. His son, Sir Hugh Fraser, 2nd Baronet, gifted Mugdock and its estates to the Central Regional Council to use as a country park, saving this great historical relic for another generation and opening it up to the public.
It is now an extremely popular visitor attraction, offering history and rural beauty to tourists and locals alike. You'll be glad to hear that the Graemes' heritage is also honoured, as the castle hosts a collection of fascinating artefacts and documents relating to the clan.
If you're looking for a way to connect with your brave and celebrated ancestors, or just for a peaceful retreat near to the city, we think Mugdock would be perfect.
Now we have explored the Graemes' historic clan seat, let's find out where they went from there. As we mentioned, In the late 17th century, the family moved to Buchanan Old House in Stirlingshire. They quickly set about making the house their own and made substantial alterations, hiring architect William Adam to redesign the building and surrounding lands. Later, the third Duke of Montrose also hired William Henry Playfair to make further additions. The family lived a happy and fulfilled life at Buchanan, building a reputation for raising and training winning racehorses. Unfortunately, in 1852, tragedy struck.
The story goes that while the Graemes were away for Christmas, the housekeeper enjoyed slightly too much to drink and fell asleep when they had intended to watch over the fireplaces. They woke up in a panic to find the entire house in flames. Many valuable Graeme artefacts were lost to the fire, and the house was completely destroyed.
The Graemes, though, were not willing to give up on their ancestral home so easily, so they commissioned William Byrne to create the newer, bigger, and better Buchanan Castle.
The result was an impressive and extravagant building with classical turrets, steeped gables, and a sweeping entrance. A grand home fit for a grand family.
They stayed in the castle until 1925, when it was sold to become a hotel and a golf course. In difficult financial times, the roof was removed in 1954 to avoid taxes, which caused the rapid decline of the building to speed up. Nowadays, while it sadly lays in ruins and is overgrown with foliage and weeds, Buchanan Castle is a Category B listed building and remains a striking sight to see.
It is still technically Clan Graeme's official seat and is rich with fascinating history. It's not available for the public to explore and is surrounded by plenty of fences and warnings, but you can still get a good view from a safe distance.
Next, we would like to introduce you to a few of the clan's most distinguished members, who are just as impressive as their magnificent castles.
Lauren Graeme was born on the 16th of March 1967 in Honolulu, Hawaii. Her parents worked for the military, so she spent most of her early childhood travelling before eventually settling in Washington, D.C.
Arts and culture were a big part of her life from an early age, and she chose to attend Barnard College to study a degree in English literature, then went on to gain a Master of Fine Art in Acting Performance from the Southern Methodist University in Dallas.
After finishing her education, Graeme moved to New York City seeking success in show business. Initially, she got by working as a waitress and a tutor, while also occasionally appearing as Striker, the dog mascot of the FIFA World Cup.
In 1995, she relocated to Hollywood, where she gained roles in various commercials, before becoming a regular guest star of several NBC shows between 1996 and 1997.
Her real breakthrough came in 2000 when she was cast as Lorelai Gilmore in the hit sitcom Gilmore Girls. The show quickly became a cult classic, and Graeme became a household name. Gilmore Girls ran for 7 seasons and was brought back for a reprise in 2017 with the revival Gilmore Girls: A Year in the Life.
This wasn't Graeme's only success. She also starred as Sarah Braverman, a single mother navigating family life, in the drama Parenthood, which aired from 2010 to 2015. She received widespread praise for her nuanced and sensitive performance in the show. She's also appeared in films such as Bad Santa in 2003 and Because I Said So in 2007.
That's all very impressive, but her talents are not limited to acting. In 2008, she released her debut novel Someday, Someday, Maybe, a semi-autobiographical story about an aspiring actress in New York City. Then in 2016, she released Talking to Myself, a collection of personal essays. Both books received positive reviews and were commended for their humour and heart. To this day, Graeme continues to bring joy to countless people with her work.
Our final famous face has had a big impact in the music world. Laurie Graeme Jr. was born on the 14th of August 1946 in Texas to musician parents. He clearly inherited their skills as he went on to have an illustrative musical career.
Graeme played bass in the band Sly and the Family Stone from 1967 to 1972. The band broke musical and societal boundaries as they were the first major American group to have a mixed race and mixed gender lineup. They enjoyed a few popular hits and released several critically acclaimed albums, including Stand, released in 1969.
Years of tension and disagreements between Graeme and the frontman, Sly Stone, caused Larry to leave the band in 1972. All the same, his contributions continued to be remembered, and he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a member of Sly and the Family Stone in 1993.
After leaving the group, Graeme decided to make his own way, forming a band called Graeme Central Station, who released several popular singles. The 1980s and 90s were a period of great creative activity for Graeme, and he collaborated with a number of iconic musicians, including Betty Davis and Prince.
Perhaps his most famous legacy, however, was the invention of the slapping technique on the electric bass, what he referred to as thumping and plucking. This style helps to provide percussive and rhythmic elements to a bass line and has become a key feature of modern funk. Countless artists have credited Graeme with inspiring their use of this playing technique, including Bootsy Collins, Les Claypool, Louis Johnson, Mark King, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and Stanley Clarke.
We've found it inspirational to see the great impact that the Graemes have had over such wide segments of society, and we hope that you have too.
We are running out of time in today's episode, but we have much more Clan Graeme content for you to enjoy over on our blog and website.
Check out our clan page to learn more about the Graemes' history, including tales of fearsome battles and feuds, or have a look at the beautiful Graeme Tartans. Owning your clan tartan is a great way to connect with both your ancestors and your current day fellow clan people. Luckily, we have 9 different variations of Graeme tartan, so whether you like mossy greens, rustic browns, or striking reds, you're sure to find something that suits you here at ScotlandShop.
Thank you for listening, and please get in touch if you have any questions, comments, or personal stories about your Graeme ancestry. We would love to hear from you.